friends, it's Amy at Doki Doki Forest. Today I am continuing to work on the January Glue Book Challenge by Caged Fish. I'm doing days 6 through 10. And for this page we have day 6, someone wearing a hat, teapot, taxi, perfume, and planet. So the first thing I like to do is try to figure out what my background image is going to be. And then the other thing about this particular page is I only have one picture of a perfume bottle, so I knew I had to use that. And the taxi was the same thing. I only had one picture of a taxi, so I knew I had to include that. And then the tea, I love this picture of all the little tea kettles, but I think they were just too big. So I'm gonna go with this one, which I think is a good size, and I like having it look as if it's pouring out the planet. And I had some pictures of different people in hats, but this film noir guy was just calling out to me. I felt like he really needed to be on the page. So now that I've picked my background, I can go ahead, put that on. And I know I'm going to use this guy, but I really like this lady in the hat too. And she has the same color palette as the man. So I thought, well, maybe I'll pop her in too. But I ultimately decided that it was too much to have the two of them on that one page. The page is just too narrow to have both of them. So I decided the story was more about this man. Maybe he's remembering that lady, and these are the things that remind him of her. That was sort of where my head was at. The taxi, there's a little Superman hand in there because it was actually a picture of Superman hailing the taxi, but Superman was distracting, I thought, so I had to cut him out, which was quite unfortunate. I would have loved to have had Superman in there, but yeah, it also made the image just too big too. I couldn't fit it. Sometimes you just have page limitations, you know? So let's trim this up so it looks neat. Here we go. But of course, I trimmed too much off of that left side, and I don't like the way it looks. So I'm trying to use an extra scrap piece from the page that had the picture of the man and a little bit from the planet piece that I had trimmed off. And I'm just trying to make it so you don't see that notebook paper over on the left side. I don't always care about that kind of thing, but in this case I did. Okay, we are on to day 7 now. We have something with wheels, gnome, shadow, eagle, and cactus. This was my only confirmed eagle. I believe this is a golden eagle. My other pictures all seem to be of hawks. So I'm going with this guy, even though he's huge, and I love that he's huge. He's actually so huge, I decided I would use 2 pages for this spread, just so I could fit, because between the eagle and the cactus picture that I had, and even the shadow picture, which I'm using that frog under the shadow of the leaves there, they're all pretty big pictures, so I decided that this would be a 2-pager. And then that little picture is for the bike, something with wheels. But I liked the little, actually the skateboard too. But I liked the little puppy and the little boy having fun, so I wanted to leave them in the picture. Now I'm just trying to figure out how this gnome is going to fit in here. Then I had this other little picture of a cactus, and I really liked the colors on there, so I was like, maybe I could sneak that in. I love this Elvis gnome, but he doesn't even have his gnome cap. So I was like, well, maybe I can trim him and then kind of combine him with that other gnome to make a complete gnome. But then I thought that that Elvis gnome just might be too distracting. So I wind up not using him. But I gotta admit, I kind of regret that. I kind of feel like I should have used the Elvis gnome. I might have to go back and add in the Elvis gnome somehow. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I have gone with the Elvis gnome, or did I make a good choice? Do you guys ever do that? You do something And then when you're watching it back, you're like, oh, why didn't I put that there? Why didn't I use that image? I'm just folding the book so that way when I glue it, hopefully the pages will open and close okay. Won't give me too much trouble. I'm trying to get this cactus to fit in. As I'm watching it, I think I might have trimmed a little too much off of that cactus picture. I kind of wish I left it bigger. And look, I still want to make that Elvis Noah mark. I'm trying. But I thought he's just so distracting. So we've got something with wheels, we've got our gnome, we have our shadow, our eagle, and our cactus on there. Now I'm just seeing if I can take some of the background from some of the other images and just kind of cover up some of the places that have the notebook paper. And then I'm just trimming it up. I feel like you can't quite get the full look until you've trimmed the edges, and then you can see exactly what it looks like. Just some final touches here, and then this page will be done. Okay, the next day, we are on to day 8. We have something that starts with the letter S, vase, pig, boot, and yarn. So I only have one pig image, so I know I'm going to use this cute little pig. He actually has braces on. And then for boot, I just really loved this lady, her whole vibe and the boot. So I know I'm going to use that. Something that starts with S, I had that skunk, but the skunk picture, even though I love it, was huge. So I thought, probably too big. So next I'm moving on to yarn. And I like this little table with the yarn on top. I thought the colors also matched the colors that the lady has, and the pig, really. That vase was a bit big. And then I decided to go with this image, which is a super cool image of a lady walking a scorpion. So that's my something that starts with S is the scorpion. And now I'm back. I actually went through my magazines again to try to find another picture of a vase because the one that I had was just way too big. And I did find a small one that I thought worked on the page much better because I have some pretty large images on this small space. The yarn picture is big. The lady with the boot is big. The pig's pretty good size too. He's not too bad, but even the lady walking the scorpion, I didn't want to just cut out the scorpion. I really liked the whole thing with the lady walking it. So I was trying to include everything. So that meant I needed a smaller vase because the vase to me wasn't as crucial as the other images, so I didn't mind that piece being smaller. And then of course, trim off the edges so we can see what our final page looks like. And of course, just checking to make sure I actually included everything that was supposed to be on there. And then we're all set. On to page 9, day 9, we have something lucky, pine cone, camel, waterfall, and strawberry, which I only had one picture of a strawberry. So first off, I'd like to try to pick the background. I had one that was just like a waterfall in nature, and then I have this one that has the lady in the waterfall with all the colors, and I really loved it. My camel picture is this really fancy dressed up camel who is wearing pretty much the same colors that are in the waterfall. So I liked that. I thought I can make it work. Maybe I'll put the pine cones like as a buffer so that way they don't blend together too much. match. And that's a Maneki Neko, a lucky cat. So that's my something lucky. And I ultimately decided to go with this background just because even though I loved the other one, I just thought the lady and the colors were just competing way too much with the camel. So I'm going to go with these muted tones instead for the background. And I want to have the pine cones going behind and also in front of the camel a little bit. I have that all settled, I just have to figure out this little strawberry. There's really no great place for it to go, or obvious place I should say, so I'm just gonna stick it there with the camel, and then I will try to come up with a story of why there's a strawberry and pine cones and what the heck is going on. Then I thought the cat looked like he was floating a little bit, so I decided to try to anchor him a little bit. So I'm using a scrap from the waterfall, and I thought I would cut out almost like a little cloud shape, something for him to be sitting on. And then I realized it kind of went over a little too far into the waterfall, so I just trimmed that edge off, and then I was happy with it. And there we go, we have all of our items on the page. And day 10, we have something from a circus, cupcake, doll, flag, and mask. And I had quite a few large images. Now flag, I only had 2 pictures, so I knew I had to use one of them. Mask, I had quite a few different pictures. The circus, I love those big pictures, but I think they were just a little bit, again, too big for the size that I was working on. And the mask, this image just really shouted out to me, so I had to use that one. The cupcake I struggled with. I had 2 pictures of cupcakes, but they're both really cartoony, and even that circus tent is actually the backing from a sticker sheet. It's a paper backing, so I'm just sort of reusing that, but I thought that fit better than my other circus pictures, which were too big. But I'm struggling with how to make this cupcake make any sense. And then I still have to put in the dolls. And this little circus background paper is so cute, but again, I couldn't figure out how to really make that successful. This one was a challenge. The waterfall one was a challenge too. And this one didn't come together easily for me. I thought, well, maybe I'll cut one doll out and just put her on there. But then I decided, I think I actually like it being like a crowd. And then it almost started to come together as a story for me of there was this traditional land or nature forest or something like that, and then suddenly a circus came to town, things got crazy, all these people showed up, and there's sort of a nature spirit watching over it and not really happy with the direction things are taking in their forest or their land. So that was the story in my head as I was creating it. You can let me know if you guys have any stories you're thinking of. But it does help me if I create a little story in my head as I'm going. our days are complete. We had day 6, someone wearing a hat, teapot, taxi, perfume, and planet. We had day 7, something with wheels, gnome, shadow, eagle, and cactus. And I left these pages to write the story for that page. Something that starts with the letter S, vase, pig, boot, and yarn. That was day 8. Day 9 was something lucky, pinecone, camel, waterfall, and strawberry. And lastly, day 10 was something from a circus, cupcake, doll, flag, and mask. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time for more Glue Book fun and more. Take care, and I will see you real soon.